Hey, Cindy and her students. Going to answer a couple of your questions. The first one is, how do you get the proportions and initial sketch up for something as large as the James Brown mural? So there's several different methods that people use and that I've used, but the primary one for me is I use an overhead projector, the old school type, that you just print out your sketch. I just outline the sketch. I don't project the entire color image if it's a colored sketch, but I simplify it just to get the contours of his face and his shoulders and his cape or whatever it might be, and then basically project it on the wall. Got a video out on YouTube showing the process. And there's other methods with scale. You can, 1 inch on your scale, you draw a grid out over your sketch, and then you draw a grid on the wall, and each inch equals a foot. So if you've got an eyeball going from the bottom of that square to the middle, you do that on the wall, and you would just trace out your whole image from scale. There's a newer method where people kind of graffiti on the wall. They take a picture of it and overlay their sketch on that, and they just there's a unique smiley face in the graffiti, and basically they will put the eyeball right there on that graffiti like it is on their sketch and just match it up. Another scale method. Those take a little longer. Thankfully, for the majority of my projects, I've been able to project and just print it out on transparency paper. Second question is, what are some of the challenges and solutions to working at that scale? There's a lot of challenges because, if you're not used to painting on a large surface, you have to deal with, brick texture and different things. That's one issue. The other is just that things look way out of proportion when you're there. The eyeball is this big or that big, and it's harder to tell what you're trying to do overall until you get off the lift and go look. So a lot of challenges. Solutions are just that. You just keep studying it, and you study the sketch, and as you compare where those elements need to be, you eventually get it to look right. Do I work by myself? Mostly. I have some helpers. My daughter helped me on this last mural. She's off at college toward the end of the mural, so she didn't help much. But there's other times I use people, but it's hard. Even as you have artist friends come along, their style will be a little different than yours. So it typically just goes faster because I know where I'm going and what I'm doing to do it by myself. Another question is, how do you find clients and jobs? I've been doing it so long now that I don't have to go out and market myself anymore. People have seen my work here or there, and they'll call me or contact me, basically word of mouth. In the old days, I used to advertise in the yellow pages and things like that. Today, with the internet, you have your portfolio out there in social media on different websites and things like that where you could point people to. When I first got started, I had to go and knock on doors, explain to people what I do. I would go to a potential mural site and go into the owner and would talk to them about a project or an idea or concept that I had, and would try to get jobs that way, and that worked. How do you pitch or communicate your idea to the client? Well, basically, I'll go and talk to the client. I'll hear what their project is about. I'll take it and research, on my own from what we discussed, and we'll collaborate to get to an agreeable point where we want to put that image on a wall, or I have a direction for my sketch. Sometimes I do multiple sketches for a project. Sometimes I just do one, depends. Sometimes the budget that they have kind of limits the complexity that I can put into the sketch. I listen to them, and then I research, and then I enact a sketch when we are in agreement. Okay, question is, where do you begin with your designs? Well, this last James Brown mural, basically, I went and researched everything about James that I didn't already know, and started just allowing those ideas and that information to distill, and then ideas come to you, and then you start, you see something that inspires you, and you want to incorporate that aspect of it into your project. And so It begins in different places for different projects. If it's a mascot for a school, you obviously would begin with that animal, and then do you want it to be aggressive representation of that animal because it's in the gym, or do you want it to be passive and calm and cool in an office setting or in the entrance hallway, the foyer, Do you ever feel overwhelmed by a job? If so, how do you overcome that and move on? Yes, I feel overwhelmed with my job all the time. I feel like I embark on new territory that I'm not comfortable or confident with. This James Brown mural, I wanted to incorporate 5 portraits. I'm not a natural portrait artist. I wanted to do each portrait in a different style, a style that I've not necessarily done before, and everything is intimidating. So I mean, it's for me, I have to pray and ask for help and guidance in everything that I do, and ultimately, I feel like the Lord has given me this talent for a reason. So then I have the confidence to follow through with it, and with that, I just keep on trying. If it fails, I'll do it again. If I'm not liking something, I'll paint over it and start over and just keep on. I feel like I wasn't ever the best artist in high school, but I was the one who tried the hardest. I put in a lot of effort, and I still today do the same thing. I'm a perfectionist now, and so I just challenge myself, and I enjoy the challenge, and you eventually will overcome and you'll grow as an artist. How do you go about pricing work? This was a very difficult thing to figure out throughout my career as an artist, but it's basically boiled down to 3 main things now. It's size, complexity, and accessibility. So the wall size can be big or small. The complexity within that design can be smaller, great. And the accessibility is, can I reach it from the ground, or do I need a ladder or a lift? It can be a really large wall with low complexity and be cheaper because it's not that difficult when you have a large wall and very simple design such as a company logo. It's just a lot of color. Or it can be a very small piece and can have tons of complexity. Have 15 people and animals and this and that and the other in there, and so it's a highly complex piece which would drive up the price. Basically, after I've created a sketch for a client, I know what it's going to take to paint this out on a large scale. What are some of the advantages and disadvantages of being a professional artist? Some of the disadvantages are if you're trying to be an artist like I was doing early in my career, it's tough making a living from just art. You find yourself going to a company that's a graphic design company, you design t-shirt, pizza ads a lot, you do a lot of that type of thing. If all your eggs are in that one basket. Success for me was diversity, doing many different things. I do video production, I do graphic design, I do photo restorations and murals, and sometimes other odd jobs. But basically, the advantages are just an amazing thing to be able to use your God-given talent, and it's a fulfilling thing when you get to create something from scratch. And it's a new adventure every day, a new challenge every day. So there's no end to the advantages of being an artist working for yourself. You don't get into being an artist for money. If that's your goal, you need to get into another career. That may be a consequence of it if you are successful in different venues or seasons in your life, but ultimately the disadvantages are that it's a difficult path to be successful, but with hard work and effort, and if the Lord has opened that door for you, that's absolutely the most fulfilling job you could ever have. So that's pretty much it. Hope you guys got something out of this, and thanks for your questions.